Hello and welcome to the Joe Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Ligato, and today we're going to be talking about how Israel, the Zionist forces of the world, is losing the propaganda war, and how our anti-Zionist coalition is just winning across the board. So high five to us. We're going to start off with this post on, I think this is a TikTok post that is posted on Twitter. So we are very social media, like multiple social medias all at once we're looking at. So this post is on how, while you're struggling to pay your rent this month, I hope you remember Israel gets subsidized housing, subsidized groceries, free healthcare, updated infrastructure, because the USA has given them over $158 billion in US citizen tax money. Imagine if that money was invested back into our economies. What a great statement. Okay. If you think about Israel, people say that Israel is a colony of the United States meant to help us secure things like oil in the Middle East. And it couldn't be further from the truth, because we would actually have easier, better access to things like oil at a lower cost if we didn't create hostilities with all these different countries. Like in this current conflict, the entire Islamic world is against the United States, either overtly or covertly, because a lot of countries are their leadership is at least blackmailed or controlled by America and Israel. But you can see that United States, if they had friendlier relationships with Middle Eastern countries, they would actually have an easier access to things like oil. And so United States is not actually benefiting from this conflict. The United States is making problems for itself, even putting aside things like 9/11. The United States is making problems for itself in order to help Israel, in order to be the attack dog of Israel. And so just ridiculous to think of them as a colony instead of America as a colony of Israel. And this type of stuff is just ridiculous. Again, I've said this in other videos. I grew up in a very poor community, and after it was in a former steel country, coal country, after steel and coal and those various parts of industry left the country, the United States government just did not care about those areas of the country anymore. In fact, it was very clear from the opioid epidemic that they actively wanted those people to be wiped out. And so people who sacrifice their lives, their health in order to go into coal mines and stuff like that, in order to work in steel factories, those people were not only neglected, abandoned, but they were actively, the government actively wanted them to disappear. From what I could see of how the opioid epidemic went down, it was an intentional effort to make money off of their suffering and to have fewer of them. And that really shook me, because you're seeing here things like Israel getting a ton of money for no discernible reason that benefits Americans. It seems to be because of their lobbying efforts, because of their blackmail efforts, such as Jeffrey Epstein, that they're able to get this money. And so a nice little graph here by Lucas Gage talking about how Israel is considered first for nearly all American politicians. Even the American first politicians, that coalition is really America last, when you consider the fact that America has student loans while Israel has free education. The United States has the most expensive healthcare. No, for the vast majority of people, you're actually not getting the best healthcare. For the top 0.01%, sure, you're able to buy the absolute best healthcare or some of the best healthcare in the world. But for everyone else, you are buying extremely expensive healthcare and getting really mediocre services. There's been a number of studies on this. While, again, Israel is getting free healthcare, in terms of homeless populations, which you can't go to a lot of cities in America anymore because it's so ridden with drugs and homeless and people with clear mental disorders, very serious mental disorders, that America has 577,000 homeless, while Israel only has 2,250. Yes, Israel is a far smaller country in terms of population, but I mean, when you're subsidizing another country like this, I think you have to look at the absolute values instead of percentages, because we could be solving this problem to a far greater extent if we weren't giving them billions upon billions of dollars. And next, we have the highest rate of depression worldwide, or one of the highest rates in America. Over 100,000 people have had deaths of despair over the past year, and this has been pretty frequent over many years now. That deaths of despair have not only been high, but have been getting higher, increasing. And those deaths of despair are people from places like steel country, coal country, that they can't make a living. There's no jobs there. They're not given the opportunities in terms of health, education to actually make something of themselves. And so they're killing themselves using drugs that are provided to them by Zionists, such as the Sackler family. And you can look it up. They are Zionists, just like all the other evils of the world are Zionists. And you see Israel is the 6th happiest country in the world. So we are subsidizing their happiness with the American people's suffering. So makes me very upset. And you can see that we don't even have freedom of speech when it comes to talking about these issues. We see Jackson Hinkle here. He's been banned from WhatsApp, and he's been banned from YouTube, and just so many different platforms are banning him. These people, wait, let me see what other post we have here that might be good. Oh, this is a good one talking about the propaganda narrative. So United States and Israel, the Zionists, are losing to the anti-zionist, where we have Arnaud Bertrand here talking about how even though they are banning us, even though they are sanctioning us, even though they are depersoning us, debanking us, making it hard to make a living, it seems like the anti-Zionist coalition is still winning to a decent extent here. So Arnaud Bertrand is saying, while I believe this is unprecedented in the history of France's diplomacy, 10 French ambassadors to Muslim countries openly rebel against Macron's pro-Israeli turn by collectively writing and signing a note to the president. So we have diplomats, ambassadors here, who are willing to go against the leadership of the country to say that what you're doing is wrong, supporting Israel, supporting the Zionists in this way is wrong. And here's what the note says. These ambassadors assert that our position in favor of Israel is misunderstood in the Middle East and that breaks with our traditionally balanced position between Israelis and Palestinians. So this is a mask off moment for the West, where they pretended to be impartial to a large extent, but it's very clear to see that Zionists control, they've captured the leadership class of Western countries. They are literally able to talk about flattening Gaza, wiping out the Gazan population, calling them the children of darkness. They are able to use extremely genocidal rhetoric. And these leaders are saying that's fine, and we're not allowed to call for diplomacy, not allowed to call for a ceasefire. Just, it's insane how overt the capture of the West truly is at this point. And we're still winning the propaganda narrative despite having very few venues to actually talk about how the Zionists are acting and what they're doing wrong. But we're still managing to critique them, to debunk them, et cetera, et cetera. So good job to us. Very motivating to see what's happening right now. So let's read on. The note relates a loss of credibility and influence of France and notes the poor image of our country in the Arab world. Yeah, you're losing access, influence all across the world if you're France right now. They're having a ton of coups against French colonial governments, and they are colonial governments. They're pro-France. They are influenced by France. They're propped up by France, and they're getting overthrown in northern Africa. And now you see France losing influence along with the rest of the West, losing influence in the greater Middle Eastern world, the Muslim world. Okay. The article goes on to say, then in a rather diplomatic form, it suggests that all this is the result of the positions taken by the President of the Republic. So they're really like going directly in on Macron. The crisis of trust between France and the Middle Eastern world is serious and risks being long-lasting, warns the author of the note. We have experienced crises in the past with the caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, but we were able to diffuse them quite quickly, recalls the diplomat who read the note. This time he adds, echoing the warning of the dissenters, the distrust towards us is deep and likely to last. Our interlocutors feel that we are betraying ourselves. They believe that our discourse based on humanism is in contradiction with our new approach. For them, France, with its alternative voice, no longer exists. Yeah, that's completely true here, where I think this time more than other times, we have receipts of the complete control of the West when it comes to being captured by Zionism. And on top of that, I think the Muslim world, one, they are making peace between the Sunnis and Shias at this time. So this is a really opportune time. I mean, there's no opportune time for this to occur, but if we want to stop this from occurring, this is a very opportune time to have the maximum amount of influence to stop this occurring, because the Shias and Sunnis are making peace. And because the Sunnis and Shias are making peace, and we have more access to freedom of speech on social media because of things like Elon Musk buying Twitter and things like that, this is really an opportune time to stop the Zionists. And so very exciting to see that more and more people are coming out and talking about this. And I think the Muslim world is recognizing that they don't have to take this anymore, because there's more and more people in the West, maybe not the leadership class of the West, but more and more average people in the West who are anti-Zionist. So we are winning. Good job to us. I think this is a good stopping point. Just love to go over all of the propaganda going on in the West and how we are winning despite all efforts to suppress our narrative, because we have the truth on our side. We are a just cause. This is a just cause that we are supporting right now. So good job to us. Everyone who is pro-Palestine, thank you for all the work you're doing, all the activism you're doing. I do think it's making a difference. Unfortunately, it's not making a difference fast enough for a lot of the people in Gaza, but I think that it will make a difference in the long term, because it's very clear that a lot of the world is controlled by Zionists. That should be very obvious right now. Even Elon Musk came out and said it, which I'll talk about in another video. But we are coming up with a anti-Zionist coalition to stop that, and very exciting to see. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Please subscribe to our channel, YouTube and Rumble, for more content. Please leave us a comment in the comment box below. Questions, concerns, critiques, I read all of them. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye.